Yes, yes, yes. Today is going to be a great video, especially if you love real estate. I've made videos back in, when I first started, how much like I was in love with real estate, and like I really am in love with real estate. I'm on Zillow, I'm on Truly, I'm on all those real estate sites looking all the time. I've really, really loved real estate. And I've had about 8 transactions, real estate transactions, whether it was selling or buying. So my first house I bought in 2021 and it's 2025 and I've had 8 transactions. So you can understand how much I really love real estate and how much I've gained knowledge about each real estate transaction. Now, I've been doing my due diligence, I've been doing my research, and I discovered something about mortgages. I will never ever put a mortgage out on a personal house that I live in or that is not making me a lot of money ever again. And I'm gonna explain why in this video. But let me tell you something. First, InvestFest is here. Did you get your tickets yet? InvestFest.com. Go get your tickets. We're about to announce the big ballers. And once we announce the big ballers, trust and believe those yesterday's price will not be today's price. So go get your tickets while they're at a low price now. And vendor spaces, they're obviously going fast. So if you are a business and you want to have, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people walk through your front door at a very, very minimal cost, you know where to go. InvestFest, become a vendor. And second, April 7th, it's going down. This is going to be my first ever 5-day challenge, life-changing experience. Is going to be the business engine, where I'm going to be breaking down systems. I'm going to be breaking down business model. I'm going to be breaking down marketing, sales, AI. I'm going 5 days of like my life's work. 5 days of my life's work. If you want to be a part of it and you want to change your life, you want to add 6 figures to your life, I'm telling you, this is the least amount of money that you'll ever spend to be able to add 6 figures to your account. Or to your business. So go to thebusinessengine.com. That is going to be a great 5 days. So it's my first one. First of many. So, sure. Why do I say I'm never going to get a mortgage ever again? So there's a couple reasons, right? I started to realize like I had like insurance hazards on my escrow account. I've had taxes go up on my escrow account. Secondly, I hate escrow accounts, so I'll never do that either again. But you have to have that mortgage to have an escrow. So if I'm never doing a mortgage, I don't even have to worry about escrow. But I've had all these different things happen in my escrow account the last year and a half. And because it happened, it exposed something. And what it exposed to me is how much money I've been spending on mortgages that I really didn't have to spend. And I'm gonna break down what I got, or everything I got here. I took some notes. This is how much this means to me, how I want to change you guys' life. I know MG the mortgage guy is gonna be mad at me after this video, but I told him I was making this video because I can't, like, this is not fair. Like the way the banks are treating you is unfair. And if I can tell you something, if I can do anything about it, I want to let you know. And that's what I always do. I always give you the game, right? So first and foremost, the number one thing in life is to follow the money. Follow the money. Why do I say follow the money? That's what I started to do. I started to follow the money. The reason why I'm even in this place and the reason why I'm never putting a mortgage on a house ever again is because I followed the money. And that's the biggest thing about this. I followed the money and I realized there's a reason why these banks are giving you a substantial amount of money for what seems to be a small amount of interest. But the reality is, once you start pulling back the layers, you'll start to see that it don't make sense. So let me break down. Let's go to the core. So now let's go. Interest rates, national average is 6.92 at the current time, which is April 4th, 2025, right? So we're going to work on the numbers. Now, I'm only doing numbers, right? I'm only doing numbers. I'm not saying my ideas. I'm not saying my theories. I'm only following the money, and I'm only looking at the numbers. $400,000. That's the house we're buying, right? We're buying a $400,000 house. We got to put 20% down. So that would be $80,000 down. Remember that $80,000. Remember that $80,000, right? I'm going over what 5 points. There's going to be 5 to 4 points to this video. This is point number 1. That $80,000. So I put $80,000 down. So now I'm financing a $400,000 house for $320,000. So that's how much I'm financing, $320,000. On a mortgage, that's going to be about $2,000 a month, right? So $2,000 a month times 30 years with the interest for a $400,000 house, I'm paying $1,035,098 whatever cents, $35,098. That's what interest, all right? So that's if I stay in the house for 30 years. Now, most people don't stay in the house for the whole 30 years, which I understand. I've never owned a house for 30 years. I've never owned a house, more than 5 years. I think 5 years is my max, right? But I just got into real estate 5 years ago. So, give me some leeway. Give me some leeway. All right. Now we understood if we stay in the house for 30 years, we're going to pay $1 million on a $400,000 house. We understand that. All right. Point number 2. If you live in this house for 10 years, right? 10 years, you'd only put 12% of the principal. What does that mean? 12%. So 400,000, take away 320,000, take away 12%. That's about 30-something thousand dollars, right? So I've spent $2,000 a month for 12 months. That's 24,000 times 10. I've spent $240,000 on a house, right? In 10 years with my mortgage. $240,000. Almost what I financed, right? In 10 years. But the principal was only 12%. That right there just said, what? 12%. So I spent almost as much as the house worth, and I only took 12% of that 320,000. So that leaves me with 270,000 or something like that, right? Because I paid 200,000 in interest, right? So that 12% principal and 200,000 in interest, all right? That was point number 2. Let's get to point number 3. These numbers is listen, I'm only going with numbers, guys. I'm only going with numbers. I'm not doing anything else. All right. So now most people say the value of the house will go up, everything's up. You're not counting that. Well, I told you I'm going with just the numbers. Only the numbers. The national average for a house to go up in price is 3 to 5%. Now I'm not going to take the 3%. I'm going to take the 5%. So I'm taking the highest point of the national average of how much a house goes up, 5%. So let's put that in the numbers. 5% times 400,000 is 20,000 a year. 20,000 a year times 10 years, because we're only going to stay in this house for 10 years. Times 10 years is $200,000, right? So that $400,000 house in 10 years is going to be worth $600,000, right? Cool. Let's go back to the national average. The national average for maintenance on a house is 1 to 4%. Cut me some slack. We're going to go with 2%. 2% times 400,000 is 8,000 a year. So now maintenance. When you own a house, you have maintenance. When you rent a house, you have no maintenance. When you own a house, you have maintenance. When you rent a house, you have no maintenance. You understand that, right? That's why I'm putting this in there, because these are real numbers. I'm only going by numbers. 2% a year times 8,000 a year, 8,000 a year times that 10 years, because I'm staying in the house for 10 years, that's $80,000. $80,000 in maintenance. All right. But wait, we got taxes. When you own a house, you have to pay taxes. When you rent the house, you don't. National average, 1%. We're going with numbers, 1%. 1% on 400,000 is 4,000 a year. 4,000 a year times 10 is $40,000. These numbers is getting up there. If you start to think, and if you add in these numbers up in your head, these numbers are getting up there. We got one more number I want to, now it's probably more numbers, but I'm only going with the numbers that are primarily the ones you focus on when you buy a house. One more number I want to add. Home insurance. Home insurance, national average on a $400,000 house is $2,000 a year. $2,000 a year times 10 years, $24,000, right? $20,000. Sorry, $20,000. I had that wrong. Pardon me. Okay, point number 4. We want to sell our house, right? It's been 10 years. We got this house. We want to sell our house. The great news is we can sell a house for $600,000 and we only paid $400,000. We made $200,000. Oh, no. That is not correct, my friend. I thought it was correct. The system, the banks follow the money, right? Because they're giving you this money because they're using the money a different way, right? Follow the money. Remember that. You're systemized to think that you're making money because you made $200,000 on a $400,000 house in 10 years. But unfortunately, when we're going to add all these numbers up, it's not going to seem that way. So I sold the house for $600,000. I owe $270,000, right? Because we only knocked off about $40,000 something off the house, right? So now we owe about we get about $330,000, right? So we'll walk away with $330,000, right? Now let's take away some numbers. $80,000 down, right? $330,000. Take away that $80,000 down payment, leaves you $250,000, right? Follow the numbers. We got the $200,000 that we spend in interest, right? Because we spent it. We definitely spent it. Now we have $50,000. We got the $80,000 from we got the $80,000 from the maintenance. We negative. Oh man, we negative. I thought I had $330,000. Wait. What the heck? Now I'm negative $30,000. Minus home insurance, $20,000. Now we negative $50,000. Take away the taxes. Look at that. Look how that number looks, right? Negative. Make sure you understand negative. So what I thought was we were getting $330,000. We're really negative $90,000. $90,000. And all along, I was thinking that we were going to make money. Now, let me show you a little example, right? Imagine if we rented the house, right? Imagine if we rent the house, right? We're renting a house. And instead of paying $2,000 a month for mortgage, we're going to get a $1,500 apartment, right? We'll get a $1,500 apartment, right? Now, we're still going to pay $2,000, right? But we're going to get that $1,500. We're going to put $500 plus $80,000 into like an S&P account, right? National average on the S&P is 10%. So that $80,000 with that $500 a month is going to come to $313,000. $313,000 after 10 years, right? This is after 10 years. I'm living in an apartment. I'm not paying maintenance. I'm not paying taxes. I'm not paying insurance. And if I do pay insurance, it's much, much less for a rental. And I'm going to have $313,000 if I rent an apartment for 10 years. Versus being in a hole for $90,000. This is why, people, the banks give you this money, because they know this. And I'm starting to know this. And I was appalled when I realized, and I started to look at the numbers. And I'm like, there's a reason why the banks are giving you all this money, because look how much they're making. So they're giving you this money and they're making this much money plus your interest. So that number is like 513 on this $400,000 house in 10 years. What sense does this make? I am never, ever, ever in life putting a mortgage on a house that I live in or that I am not making an exponential amount of money. Now, if we can get the mortgage under 3%, yes, that may make sense. I haven't run the numbers, but it might make sense because that's going to lower the interest tremendously under 3%. That's why it was a very short window when that mortgage was 2%, because people were stealing these properties because money was being sold at $0, 0%. Now, if I buy a house or I buy a building and I'm making a substantial amount of money on the business of the property and it outweighs the insurance, the interest, the taxes, and everything, then it makes sense to do a mortgage. Because now I can start this business today, start making money today, right? But to want and need to be in a house of your dreams, and you can wait maybe 10 years, maybe 5 years, because who knows what can happen, right? But just know, in 10 years, you have $300,000. You can buy something cash. I say cash. I'm going to take care of all my properties cash as soon as possible because the mortgage system is there to entice you to being something that you want a little earlier, where you could wait a little longer and be in that property debt-free, clear-free, and stress-free. So that's what I wanted to give y'all. This is a very unorthodox video that I really post. This is the stuff I love. Like, you can see how I'm passionate about it. I really love talking about real estate. And I hope you guys really listen to this because this is some good stuff right here. But I appreciate you guys. See you guys. Love y'all. Later.